Hi friends, it's Lathia from Farm View Creators. Today we're going to work on this super adorable Winter Snowman Shovel kit, and I love it. It's from the Rust Covered Cottage by Christina. We're going to start with some Van Dyke Brown semi-gel antiquing glaze on the arm of the shovel and all across the back, just so that it has that finished look. And then I'm going to go in with the top piece of the base and the backing piece that holds the shovel up, and let those dry really good. Moving on to the actual scoop and the top handle, I'm going to use a makeup sponge with Paint Couture's British Gray. I'm doing a thin layer across both pieces. Let those dry really good, and then I'll go back for a second coat. For the word snow and the kind of snow clump at the end and the snowflakes, I am using purely white, and it's going to take some layers. So I think I ended up with like 5 layers, but I did them super duper thin, and that's why it took so much, but it wasn't a big deal. Because they're thin layers, they dried really, really quickly. So I'm just using a makeup sponge. I am using my weeding tool to remove the paint from the grooves. After I did my 2 layers of gray, I did give it a little bit of a sanding. Now I'm gluing the bottom base with the top piece using my Tight Bond Quick and Thick, and it's almost empty, so it was giving me fits. Then I'm fitting in that base piece, and that's where we're going to adhere the finished shovel to. So I want that to set up off to the side. I'm going to go in with Aquamarine, just 1 coat over that Van Dyke Brown. This is another mineral acrylic from Paint Couture. I'm going to do the wet distressing method. So I've got my spray bottle ready. I'm not a patient person waiting for paint to dry, but I dried it. Then I sprayed it a little bit to get it a little more wet because I dried it too much. And then I am just using a baby wipe to wipe off some of that aquamarine so that you can see the stain underneath. And I'm going to do the same thing with Vintage Flair so that you can see the aquamarine and the Van Dyke Brown underneath, and it just gives that layered, distressed, amazing look. I had a spot where I thought it had too much of the Van Dyke Brown, so I just used my finger to add some more paint. And that's the beauty of this technique, is if you don't like it, you can just add more layers. So now's the fun part. I am putting crust around the edges of that top handle and the shovel, anywhere where an actual true shovel has metal. I'm adding that crust so that I can use Christina's Rust Effect kit. She has that on her site, and you can get it all as a bundle, and it's a discounted bundle. So it's amazing. It comes with the crust and the other things. So I added some sheer bliss to my snow pieces, and I'm going in with my Posca pen to do the eyeballs. And then I did trace the other pieces of the face, but you'll see later I decided I didn't like that. I want that crust to get really, really dry. And I've got some stippling brushes. I have my espresso, pinecone, and firelight acrylic mineral paints, and I am just going to layer them over top of each other, just dabbing it on those places until I like what I see. I'm not letting them dry in between. I want it to blend, and you'll even see I decided to go in with a smaller brush because I wanted some more control over where that orange was, and I will start using the same brush in different colors because I've got my blobs of paint kind of on my silicone mat, and I'm just dabbing away until I like it. At one point I thought I was finished, but then I decided it had a little too much orange to it, and I wanted it to be a little darker. Then I went in with my heavy metal French gold and a round pointed tip brush, and just kind of dab that gold around just to give it a little more of a bling effect. And you know I love my dead flat, so I'm going in and putting dead flat over top of everything. I am letting that rust effect dry a little bit more before I do that. So I'm getting all the other stuff top coated first. And then I'm getting that rust effect dry and going over that with my dead flat. I just love it. Then I had some jute with some bells on it, so I'm untying that. I added a smaller bell to it, and then I am going to tie that up first and then wrap the jute around my hand loosely. Then I grab another piece of jute because I wanted more, and then I'm taking a small piece, threading it through my fingers, pulling it through the bells, and cinching it to create a multi-layer jute bow. And then fluffing it out, I kind of slid the strings to the back. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So I'm using my Titebond Quick and Thick for this project just because I needed a thicker glue to really get in all the nooks and crannies, especially over top of that rust effect. So I love my art glitter glue, but when I have a lot of texture to a project, I do prefer to use my Titebond Quick and Thick. So you'll see here, I put my nose on, which I did paint my nose with Firelight, and I took it off because I just did not like how bold the snowman's face was, but I'll get back to that in a minute. So I am kind of cleaning out some of the nooks and crannies with my weeding tool and then getting all the other layers adhered. I needed to clamp down the two pieces of the shovel, so I let that set aside. Standing off the top of that snowman's face, I didn't go too deep because I did not want the score lines to disappear completely, but I put one more coat of white, like real thick, with my paintbrush. And then I dug out my score lines again, and you can see that it's black, more bold than just score lines would be, but it's not as bold as that Posca pen was making it, and I liked it much better. I did let that dry really, really good before I put the eyeballs back on it, but super cute. And then I'm going to go in with my Debbie's DIY dark wax and just add a little bit more dimension with just a slight distressing. Then I'm going to put the snow on the bottom, get that all put together. Oh, I just love it. Then adding those snowflakes, I had to dig out some of my corners there, even though I used a makeup sponge. Some paint did go in those nooks and crannies. Now I'm putting my glue on my base. Gonna fit that on, making sure that I have it lined up the way I want it and pressing it. And I was waffling between using some of the eucalyptus greenery with my white greenery, but I liked it better just with that white. So I went in with some Titebond and held that down for a while. Afterwards, I did use some hot glue to really get it in there so that the Titebond could set up. Just tied on that bow so that I could change it if I wanted to. But I love how it turned out. I hope you do too. Let me know what you think. And be sure to like and subscribe. Thank you so much for watching. Bye.